Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science, representing the Minister for Employment. Will the minister outline to the House the government's commitment to ensure that employer and employee organisations always act in the best interests of their members? What hurdles exist to improving productivity in the building and construction industry?
The Minister for Industry, Innovation and Science.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker, and I thank the member for Robertson for her question. She, like the government, is very committed to cleaning up the union movement in Australia. She's also committed to improving productivity in the building and construction industry. She's also committed to supporting honest union leaders who do the right thing by workers and getting rid of the bad union leaders who give them all a bad name. And that's why the government's introduced the Registered Organisations Commission's bill and the Australian Building and Construction Commission bill, because they support honest union leaders, they'll improve productivity in building and construction, and they will root out dishonest, corrupt union leaders. Now, the only people opposing this, Mr Speaker, are the Labor Party. The Leader of the Opposition and the Labor Party are blocking these bills in the Senate. And make no mistake, this will be an issue at the next election, Mr Speaker, because it is vitally important. It is vitally important that these bills pass. Now, the Leader of the Opposition was on the 7:30 report on Tuesday night. He was there defending the CFMEU. I was absolutely shocked, Mr Speaker. He strongly, enthusiastically supported the CFMEU. This is despite the fact that Dyson Heydon said in the Royal Commission that the disregard for the law was a long-standing malignancy or disease in the CFMEU. Disregard for the law was a long-standing malignancy or disease in the CFMEU. Justice Jessup of the Federal Court said described the CFMEU as the worst recidivist in the history of the common law. This is the worst union in the country, and yet the Leader of the Opposition was endorsing and supporting them on Tuesday night on the 7:30 report. 3 times Lee Sales asked him to reject donations from the CFMEU because of the cloud hanging over them since the Royal Commission. 3 times, Mr Speaker. Lee Sales asked him about donations from the CFMEU, and he did not answer the question at any point. $7 million has been given to the Labor Party since 2007-8 by the CFMEU. $7 million of donations to the Labor Party from the CFMEU. So we know why, of course, the Labor Party won't act on the Registered Organisations Commission and the Australian Building and Construction Commission, because the CFMEU is deeply ingrained in their organisation, in their core. If Labor wins the next election, Mr Speaker, the CFMEU wins. If Labor wins the next election, the CFMEU is back at the cabinet table, just like we've seen in Victoria in the Daniel Andrews government, just like we've seen in the ACT here in the Barr government. If Labor wins the next election, the CFMEU wins, Mr Speaker.